Good evening. Great, can everybody hear me okay? Well, I'm Janie Press, and I'm the founder and president of Holocaust Music Lost and Found, and I am deeply honored to welcome all of you to our presentation of Lost Music Discovered and Recovered. Tonight, we celebrate the lives and music of extraordinary composers who, even in the face of unimaginable hardship during the Holocaust, continued to create works of profound beauty and humanity. You'll hear more about their stories in a moment. First, I'd like to recognize several people whose support made this program possible. I'd like to extend my sincere thanks to City Council member Gail Brewer for her generous funding in support of this event. Council member Brewer and her team recognizes the vital role that programs like this play in combating anti-Semitism and all forms of hate in New York City. And I'm deeply grateful for their partnership and commitment. We hope to partner with Councilmember Brewer in the future to bring more programs to District 6. And I also want to express my appreciation to the staff of Congregation Rodaf Shalom for welcoming Holocaust Music Lost and Found, and for all the help that they have given us. They are incredibly outstanding, and we're so proud to be here. I also want to acknowledge and thank Dr. Brett Werb, Jeannie Golan, and Cantor Jeff Warschauer for their planning in the programming and performances for this evening. And I thank the members of the Holocaust Music Lost and Found Board of Directors for being my partners in everything that we do. There are two board members who are with us tonight, Sam Gubins and Jerry Pallas. And if they care to stand up so you could recognize them, that would be great. And I'm extremely grateful to all of you for coming here and being part of this wonderful evening. Holocaust Music Lost and Found is nearing a very meaningful milestone. Next week, I am proud to share, we will mark our 5th anniversary as an organization. Tonight's program, the 27th that we have presented in what is actually just 3 years, because the first 2 years we couldn't do anything, people weren't gathering because of COVID, is a reminder that Holocaust Music Lost and Found continues to share its mission to foster the discovery, study, and performance of works by composers whose lives and careers were upended or destroyed during the Holocaust. By illuminating these works through both concerts and education, we seek to inspire others and raise awareness of the extraordinary power of music to lift the human spirit and to counter anti-Semitism and hate. And we believe that what we are doing right now is just of critical importance. The composers whose music you'll hear in a few minutes were resistant fighters, prisoners, and exiles. They faced threats, they were captured, the loss of their homeland and death. They composed in hiding and in camps and in countries where they were foreigners. Their music was lost and then found, and now lives on for us to honor and remember tonight. If you're moved by the work of Holocaust Music Lost and Found, and we're so proud to present this music, and you'd like to learn more about what we do, during the reception, come and introduce yourself to me, or to Sam, or to Jerry, and learn about how you can get involved. Now, a few notes about the program. We begin with songs from before the war by Poland's two greatest Yiddish troubadours, Nachum Sternheim and Mordecai Gebirtig. Cantor Jeff Warschauer will share details about these artists, their work, and their fate during the Holocaust. The works that follow truly fulfill our mission at Holocaust Music Lost and Found. These are the Hasidic Suite by the Zadok by Pawel Gruenspan and the Indian Ballatino by Walter Kaufmann. This is music that was retrieved from archives where it hibernated for many years and has rarely, if ever, been performed in public. Our pianist, Jeannie Golan, will tell you more about these two composers. And by the way, she will be performing from their own handwritten manuscripts, which is something rarely done because a composer's handwriting can be very difficult to decipher. Jeannie will end her set with a challenging piano sonata from the Nazi camp Theresienstadt, the last work by the great composer Viktor Ullmann. The piece is seeded with coded music references his captive audience would have recognized. Rest assured that Jeannie will unlock some of the secrets for you before she performs it. Cantor Warschauer rounds out the program with a pair of songs by young poets who were also resistant fighters. You may already know their names, Hannah Senesh and Hirsh Glik. It is now my pleasure to welcome to the stage Cantor Jeff Warschauer.
This translation is by Chaim Lotek, the late Chaim Lotek. I'm really honored that her son and my friend Zalman Lotek is here with us tonight. As well as a great and rising star of the new Yiddish theater, Michal Yashinsky, and many other old friends from the Yiddish community. We have a little tune we sing with pleasure and joy. This tune was sung by Zayda and Bubba, by grandfather and grandmother, father and mother, the whole family, when all were still young. Oben mir an Nigendol, in Nachus und in Frieden, in Nachus und in Frieden, singen mir es, klingt es so schön, das hat noch gesungen der Tippala mit dem Sehen, wenn sie seinen Kindern noch gewähnt. Oi, 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 wie der Nigen klingt, das sind der so freilich, sing je Kinder, oh, das solche, wie der Nigen klingt, das sind der so freilich, so mir alle gehen. Und wir an Nigendl singen wir zusammen, singen wir, klingt es so schön, das hat noch gesungen der Tate mit dem Amen, wenn sie seinen Kindern noch gewählt. Ai, 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 das sei, wie der Nigen klingt, das sind der so freilich, singt ihr Kinder, oh, das solche, wie der Nigen klingt, das sind der so freilich, so mir alle gehen. Oben mir an Nigendl, in Masel und in Broche, singen wir es, klingt es so schön, das hat noch gesungen die ganze Mischproche, denn sie seinen Kindern noch gewähnt. Oi, 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 wie der Nigen klingt, das sind der so als a freilich singt die Kinder, oder so, wie der Nigen klingt, das sind als a freilich, lo mir alle gehen. Ai, da da da, da da da, da da da, da da da, da da. Ai, da da, da da, da da. Herzlichen Dank. Thank you. I really want to thank everyone who has been involved, especially Janie for putting this together, but also someone who's not with us here tonight, Dr. Brett Werb. He really curated this along with Janie in such a beautiful way with all these song and piece selections, of course, in collaboration with us, the performers. So I want to thank him. This is a song is mentioned in the program and also by Janie, by the great Mordecai Gebirtig, the bard, the Yiddish bard of Kroka, of Yiddish Krakow. And this is a prophetic song. It's really almost seems like he was seeing ahead to the horrors that would happen. It was written after a pogrom in the Polish town of Gebirtig in 1938, before the war. The translation I'm about to read is a singable translation by the great translator Rosalind Resnick Perry, who many of us knew and miss. And this is in a slightly abridged version of the song. I should also say that both Sternheim and Gebirtig were so popular, their songs were so popular, they spread so far and wide that the songs were regarded as folk songs to the point where people had no idea who had written them, and really became regarded as folk songs. It burns, brothers, it burns. Our poor shtetl pitifully burns. Angry wind with rage and curses, tears, tears and shatters and disperses. Wild flames leap, they twist and turn. Everything now burns. And you stand there looking on, hands folded, palms upturned. And you stand there looking on. Our shtetl burns. It burns, brothers, it burns. God forbid the moment may affirm when our city, which now holds us, will as ash and flames enfold us, signs of slaughter leaving all with black and empty walls. And you stand there looking on, hands folded, palms upturned. It burns, brothers, it burns. Help can only come if you return. Love which shtetl once inspired, take up arms, put out the fire. Douse it with your blood, be true. Show what you can do. Don't just stand there looking on, hands folded, palms upturned. Don't just stand, put out the fire. Our shtetl burns. Es brennt, Brüder, es brennt. Bei unserem Shtetl Nebel brennt. Böse Wind mit Tiergosen reißen, brechen und zerblosen. Starker noch die wilde Flammen, als schon brennt. Und steht und guckt so sich mit verlegter Hand. Und steht und guckt so sich, unser Shtetl brennt. Es brennt, Brüderlech, es brennt, bei unserem Shtetl Nebel brennt. Es haben schon die Feuerzungen die ganze Shtetl eingeschlungen, und die Bese Wind in Huschen, unser Städtel brennt. Und steht und guckt, da soll sich mit verlegter Hand. Und steht und guckt, da soll sich unser Städtel brennt. Es brennt, Brüderlich, es brennt. Die Hilfe ist nur in euch allein gewählt. Ob der Städtel ist ein Teil, nehmt die Kehlen, lässt das Feuer, lässt mit euer eigen Blut, beweist, dass ihr das kennt. Steht nicht, Brüder, Otter soll sich mit verlegter Hand. Steht nicht, Brüder, lässt das Feuer, unser Städtel brennt.
Hello, everybody. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here this evening, sharing this program with Cantor Jeff and with Janie, who leads in such an intrepid way, such a brilliant foundation. Many composers, I find there's an element of autobiography in what they write. And so what you are about to hear, everything you're going to hear in the music I'm about to play both reflects and was inspired by the places and the circumstances that each composer found themselves in. So let's jump right into some music. I'll talk a little more later. Pawel Gruenspann's By the Tzaddik. It conjures up scenes of a small village in Poland, and allow yourselves to be transported there, having your own colorful dream as you listen to the Tzaddik's colorful dreams, and imagining yourself at the celebration with everyone singing and calling out Mazel Tov. Not fun. Pawel Gruenspan lived his adult life in a small Polish village town, having grown up in a family with deep religious roots. He studied music at the Warsaw Conservatory and then continued his studies in Belgium. He was heading towards becoming a pianist and composer and already had an interest in jazz, quite unusual, and it later became a very big part of his musical identity. In 1939, the 19-year-old Gruenspan and his uncle, composer Max Fishman, fled Nazi persecution. They swam across the Vuk River, ending up in the Soviet Union, where they were not exactly welcome. At some point, he suffered a serious head wound and began to go blind. After the war, separated from his uncle and having lost the rest of his family, he moved to Stettin and became known as a teacher, pianist, and jazz composer and pianist, and was moderately renowned in that region. Despite having completely lost his sight, he continued to compose. By the Tzaddik was written in the 1980s. He describes it as a Hasidic suite for piano and dedicated it to the memory of his loved ones who were lost in the war. It later became part of a larger work for voice and orchestra called Mea She'arim, which translates in Hebrew to 100 Gates, and was written to commemorate the 56th anniversary of the outbreak of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. In 1990, Gruenspan wrote, "Despite all of my difficulties, I continue to compose, for it is an irresistible internal imperative. I would like to leave behind something that would constitute a contribution to the work of Jewish musical culture. Please believe me, these are not empty words. Gruenspan found his voice in Yiddish music. Walter Kaufmann found a similar spirituality in the classical music of southern India. Born in Karlsbad, Kaufmann studied in Berlin and then established himself in Prague. He refused at the point where he was about to get his dissertation through and get his PhD at the University of Prague. He refused to defend his dissertation because he found out that his advisor was pro-Nazi. This was in the early 1930s. And so he decided to exile eventually to India and eventually then ending up in Mumbai. The music he heard there was revelatory. Quickly, he took to both studying it and composing in this style of Indian classical music, which is called Carnatic music. So let me give you a sense of what Carnatic music actually is. Associated with South India, it is believed to be a divine art form which originated from Hindu gods and goddesses. Ancient treatises also describe the connection of the origin of the pitches to the sounds of animals and birds and man's effort to simulate these sounds through a keen sense of observation and perception. You're about to hear the piano score for Indian Balletino, which was meant to ultimately become a ballet production. Each movement is based on a different Indian mode featured in various ragas, or their spiritual music, meant for different times of day, different times of mood, or seasons. Having these specific chants for specific times, days, and seasons, to me is very much in keeping with chants as they are used in Jewish prayer throughout the year. For instance, Prelude to Nur Sarong is Nur means light. Prelude in Dhanashri is an early afternoon raga and is meant to be cheerful with a happy mood. Prelude in Kafi is a late evening raga with a mood of springtime and ancient origins. I could go on. There's Bhuptal Todi is a morning raga and has a symmetrical scale. Narayani is soothing with an intricate melody, and Hamir is a nocturnal raga. You may also hear how this particular Czech composer in the 1930s predated what is now termed as minimalism by decades. Minimalism being the repetition of consonant musical patterns, almost like a drone. And we think of it as being put on the map by two other Jewish composers, Steve Reich and Philip Glass. How amazing that this was happening in the 1930s with Kaufmann. I will also note that in his exiling to Mumbai, Kaufmann shifted the company he kept from the likes of Albert Einstein and Franz Kafka, being his nephew-in-law, to the likes of Zubin Mehta's father. So,
Thank you so much. And now I get to go back to reading off of big notes that are part of a score and not manuscript. Although I have to say, I love reading off of manuscript because you actually get a sense of the personality of the composer that way, the same way as when you see someone's handwriting, a bit of a lost art these days. Like Kaufmann, Viktor Ullmann also had roots in Prague. Ullmann spent his life searching for meaning. In 1941, he was imprisoned at the Theresienstadt concentration camp, the, quote, model camp, unquote, used to deceive the Allied forces into believing that those encamped were treated well and were having normal lives. What he endured there was horrible, including the loss of his wife and son. And yet, the extreme circumstances focused him on what was important to him. His touchstone became the German Romantic poet Goethe, and he used Goethe's motto, live in the moment, live in eternity, as his own. As he described it, I believe that every moment in the life of a real artist consists in some sense of work. Interesting, persistent, endless work. Work not only at the writing desk, but also work in observation, in the absorption of sounds, colors, motion, and the rhythms of reality into oneself. I am always working. Doesn't that resonate with both Gruenspann's imperative and Kaufmann's draw to Carnatic music? In 1944, Ullmann was sent to Auschwitz, where he was murdered. Sonata number 7 was Viktor Ullmann's last work, written in the camp. He did keep composing while he was in Theresienstadt. That's really where he discovered this ethic of work. Life is work. The work matters. The work gives meaning. And he dedicates this last sonata to his children, and it was completed a month before his transit to Auschwitz and his death. For a man who had a secular upbringing, this sonata reveals the extent to which he'd absorbed the ethnic sounds of his Jewish heritage while at Theresienstadt. You're about to hear its last movement, a theme and variations on the declarative Yiddish folk song of Rachel. But Ullmann goes further. He infuses the variations with inferences and quotes from other pieces that seem to encapsulate his musical belief system. Within the variations, there are hints of Mahler, whom he had dedicated his first piano sonata to, and it also has a quote from his own 5th sonata, which was the first piece he wrote after being interned at Theresienstadt. In the culminating fugue, he interweaves 3 additional ideas, melodic ideas, that is. The Hussite patriotic song, Ye Who Are God's Warriors,
the Lutheran chorale, Now Thank We All Our God, and the ever resonant B-A-C-H motive. B being B flat, A, pitch A, C, H is B natural. And in fact, in the score, when it comes in, he even puts B dash, A dash, C dash, H dash, because he doesn't want you to miss, he doesn't want the performer to miss that it's there. By bringing together these musical quotes, Ullmann invokes for the listener the strength derived from one's connection to homeland, to spirituality, and to music itself. I would love for you to hear the song of Rachel as originally sung. Jeff, would you be willing to come over to do the honors and perhaps translate the text as well?
Thank you, Jeannie. So we're going a little bit off script. This is based, let me get to the right place here. This is based on a song by the great Hebrew poet Rachel. Rachel Blaustein was born in Europe, and she was one of the most important and beloved Hebrew poets. Rachel uprooted her life in Eastern Europe and fully committed herself to the pioneer mission in Palestine, as well as to modern Hebrew culture. And here she invokes her biblical namesake and predecessor, Rachel. The poem is a very beautiful poem, and the melody is equally beautiful, composed by Yehuda Sharet, or Sheltok as his original European name, Yehuda Sharet. And a translation by Robert Friend goes as follows. Rachel, mother of mothers, who shepherded Laban's sheep. It is her blood that flows in my blood, her voice that sings in me. Therefore is my house narrow and the city strange, because her scarf once fluttered in the desert wind. Therefore do I make my way unswervingly, because my feet remember her path of then. שמורים ברגלי זיכרונות מיני אז, מיני אז. So this is the second time I've had the honor of doing this program with Jeannie and Janie and Brett, and it's really nice to do it again. I'm hearing things, it's such beautiful music and such beautiful playing. I mean, my gosh. So thank you. Let's have another round of applause. So we're going to do 2 more songs. Thank you so much for being here and joining us in this beautiful program. Eli, Eli was, exactly, someone knows the words, of course. Senesh, poet, hero, and martyr, parachuted into Europe to help rescue Hungarian Jews. She was captured by the Nazis, tortured, and killed, having never revealed the details of her secret mission. Truly a hero. This beloved song, Eli, Eli, is widely regarded as one of the most beautiful and important songs in the Jewish canon. As we can see, by people know the song, they know the words. The music is by David Zahavi. Please sing with me, if you know it. And as we say, if you don't know it, sing anyway. Excuse me, I just need to tune to do justice to this wonderful song. Thank you. These things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the earth, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the earth. Thank you. Hirsh Glik was also a fighter and a hero from the Vilna ghetto and Vilna partisan. He was a young man when he wrote this song, I believe to a melody, a Russian melody that was already popular. The music was by the brothers Dmitry Pokros and Daniel Pokros. The version we're going to sing is in your program. It's towards the end. You'll notice that it says, well, let me just preface this. Writing a translation from one language to another, those who have tried to do it, who do it, know it's a very difficult art. Writing a singable translation is perhaps even more difficult. And I have always admired the English translation that is here, the English singable translation by my old friend who I've not seen in years, Elliot Polevsky. Well, Elliot Polevsky is here with us. Could you please stand up, Elliot? Such a nice surprise to see you. Please join. Oh, it is, I'm sorry, I apologize. It's customary to stand as you are able when this song is sung. Thank you. Sag nicht keinmal, als du gehst dem letzten Weg, hat Schimmeln bleiene, verstellen bläue Tag. Kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Schau, es wird abheugt und unser Trott mir seinen da. Kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Schau, es wird abheugt und unser Trott mir seinen da. Von grünen Palmenland bis weißen Land von Schnee, wir gehen on mit unser Pein, mit unser Weg. Und wo gefallen, sie zerspritzt von unser Blut, sprotzen wird dort unser Gewurre, unser Mut. Und wo gefallen, sie zerspritzt von unser Blut, sprotzen wird dort unser Gewurre, unser Mut. Never say that you are going your last way, though lead-filled skies above blot out the blue of day. The hour for which we long will certainly appear. The earth shall thunder neath our tread that we are here. The hour for which we long will certainly appear. The earth shall thunder neath our tread that we are here. From lands of green palm trees to lands all white with snow, we are coming with our pain and with our woe. And where a spurt of our blood did drop, our courage will again sprout from that spot. And where'er a spurt of our blood did drop, our courage will again sprout from that spot. To sag nicht keinmal, als du gehst dem letzten Weg, hat Schimmeln bleiene, verstellen bläue Tag. Kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Schau, es wird abheugt und unser Trott mir seinen da. Kommen wird noch unser ausgebänkte Schau, es wird abheugt und unser Trott mir seinen da. Wir seien da. Jeannie, please. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank Jeannie Golan, Cantor Jeff Warschauer, for their outstanding performances. Again, I want to thank everybody at Congregation Rodolphe Shalom for welcoming us, and I'd like to welcome all of you to a reception in the other room. If you have any questions for us, if you have any questions about the music, please reach out to Cantor Warschauer or to Jeannie. And again, thank you so much for being part of this really wonderful evening.